This afternoon's session is called Innovation Without Borders. How do we unlock the full power of global research and development? First, let me introduce very quickly our distinguished speakers. First, I will turn my attention to Dr. Khalifa Al Qama. He is a Director of Research, Development, and Innovation at Dubai Futures Foundation, where he leads strategy and execution of Dubai's national RDI agenda. He also oversees Dubai Futures Labs, Sandbox Dubai, and the Research Center's funding program, advancing applied research in robotics, AI, and emerging tech. I am so very happy that his work is also strengthening the UAE's position as a global hub for innovation and future-driven research. Thank you so very much, Khalifa, for being with us.
Thank you very much for the introduction. Happy to be with you here.
Thank you. Maybe a round of applause. Wonderful to have Mr. Masoud Max Mirgoli. He is the Chief Global Development, Partnerships and Venturing Officer and he is also a member of the Executive Board at imec. With more than 36 years in semiconductor and high-tech industry, he has held senior roles in some of the world's most innovative companies. Before joining imec, he was also the CEO and Managing Director of ICO's Vision Systems, which went public and was later acquired by KLA Tencor. He subsequently served in global executive positions at Panasonic, overseeing automation and controls. Mirgoli holds degrees in electrical engineering, robotics from the University of California, linguistics from the University of Madrid, and an MBA from the College of Notre Dame. So one-liner is a semiconductor veteran, forging global innovation partnerships for the digital age. Warm welcome, Max.
Thank you very much. Delighted to be here.
And Carlo Nizam, who is the Chief Digital Officer at Emirates Global Aluminium, was supposed to be here, but unfortunately he's not able to. So joining us is Mr. Paul Antoine Calandru. I hope I pronounced your name right, and he will be introducing himself shortly. Over to you quickly.
Yeah, sorry for Carlo. He felt sick and couldn't really join us. And so I'm Paul Antoine Calandru. I'm leading actually the Industry 4 transformation at Emirates Global Aluminium here in the country. And yeah, I've been for 20 years in the aerospace industry back in Europe before joining Emirates Global Aluminium.
Warm welcome, Paul Antoine. Thank you. Okay, so I'm going to set the scene very, very quickly. Of course, all of you understand that research and development means investments in innovations could drive productivity and profits by creating new and improved products and processes, of course, generating cost savings for companies and consumers, and hopefully also creating the global public goods. It is important to emphasize that private sector innovations are often spurred by the public sector or government investments into the appropriate R&D. We are currently in Dubai, a city that epitomizes public and private R&D working hand in hand. Dubai is positioning itself as a global city of innovation and a hub for research and development. I had to do a bit of research into this session because I'm not very familiar with the topic, but I really understand that each dollar of the public R&D stimulates between 0.4 or $0.7 of private R&D within the same year. So again, highlighting the importance of the public and private R&D working hand in hand. The systems across the public and private sectors are experiencing tectonic shifts, and many parts of the world are not yet ready to adjust to these changes. So as an international public sector employee coming from the United Nations and working and serving the Pacific Island countries, especially from that global south perspective, it is really important to harness technological advancements, but also working collaboratively for research and development for the public good. And I am excited to have these wonderful speakers with diverse range of experience and expertise in advancing R&D in their own fields. So my first, we will have a series of questions and answers, and I hope we will also have an interactive session with you. My first question is really to begin with gaining a broader understanding of each panelist's overall perspective in research and development. So, in your perspectives and experiences, how future-oriented research and cooperation agenda is being driven globally? Please provide some specific examples from your fields of expertise. I am going to turn to Mr. Khalifa Al Qama. Maybe you can speak from the perspective of this organization, whose research arm services as a source of insight for the future and works on understanding possible future scenarios for Dubai and the world. Over to you, sir.
Thank you. So maybe it's important to reiterate that when it comes to research and development, it is a journey that starts with discovery and ends up hopefully with either new knowledge or an application that is useful to society or useful economically. And for the ones that are in the industry or out of the industry, let me just recap. You need a myriad of specializations and different environments to really foster a very good environment that is conducive to A, thinking of what is important, or following the drive or the passion that the individuals would have. B, it has to translate into a good, cohesive ecosystem where people can interact and serendipity can happen. And we see a lot of good sparks that happen there. Usually you see them either in universities or you see them in independent spaces. And the last stage is translation of this knowledge to something that is very useful. Now, I think humans innately are always intrigued. Majority want to know more and want to be useful to their environments, their families, and their societies. I think what's happening right now with the Dubai Future Foundation and in Dubai overall is number one, making sure that the priorities are clear. Because when you get people focused on specific areas, it helps the overall coordination and the potential impact that could happen on the ground. And right now, the city of Dubai and the country of the UAE have decided on certain priorities that I think are not only useful and important to us here, but globally are relevant, which is what can we do for our environment? What can we do in our cities? How can we make them more livable and more useful? Space is a very important conversation to many societies and many countries. And the most important topic of all is health and well-being. Everybody cares about having better health, having a better healthcare system, ensuring that our kids and our environment would be conducive for us to live at a longer stage. So once the priorities are set, I think the next natural step is what are the policies or what should we do? Let's not say policies. What should we do? What should we put on the ground to really make the interactions between these different groups of people, different communities, different institutions to interact in a healthier, better, more seamless environment? And here you come to think about, what do I give money for? What do I judge as success? How do I interact, make people interact or collaborate more? Because we also found out right now that the more collaborations that happen between an institution and an institution, no matter what their type is, it usually leads to a much better result. So baking these small little nuances that we've learned in R&D over the last 80 years of R&D management globally would lead to better outcomes, better impacts. And I think I would end up by another very important initiative that is now started here in Dubai, and I'm sure will spread around the world, which is the regulatory sandbox. You've seen that the majority of these technologies interact with our societies in ways that we're not used to. And rules and regulations are written for the right reasons, but potentially for the right reasons 30 years ago, 50 years ago. So it was very clear that there needed to be a new space and a new initiative that brings all the regulators together to have an open dialogue with people who are coming up with these new technologies to make sure that we can translate their technologies into potential impacts on the ground. Because the majority of the impacts are not in one regulator. They usually touch upon multiple regulators. And they were designed that way 50 years ago or 30 years ago because it made sense. But today, it needs to be relooked at. And we're not sure of the results. Hence why I think testing on the ground, getting the regulators to really observe, see the results, and based on that, take the rightful action is what is starting to happen here in Dubai. So I'll leave it at this, and maybe we'll go on to.
Thank you. Thank you so very much. Yes, I'm really grateful that you also highlighted the importance of the regulatory sandboxes to prepare for the future. Turning our attention to Max Mirgoli, imec is your company, and it's the world's largest nanoelectronics R&D hub and employs more than 500 researchers from more than 90 countries. Your facilities are dedicated to research and development around the world, and it is wholly futures oriented, I would say. So from that perspective, your insights, please.
First of all, allow me to express my gratitude to Dubai Future Foundation and Khalifa for the kind invitation. I have deep admiration for what they do here, and as such, I could not refuse to come here and be with you. So I'm very grateful for the invitation. For those of you who are not familiar with imec, the organization I represent is one of the most renowned organizations in nanoelectronic research. We are located in Belgium, and perhaps what makes us unique is for the last 41 years, we have been working with over 1,000 companies that you probably know most of their names, from Google, Apple, Intel, NVIDIA, which probably you all by now know, and providing them the base technology that they take home and create products that make pretty much the entire universe work. For a long time, I tried to explain to people what I do, and nobody really understood because nobody was familiar with microelectronics or chips. All it took was during COVID for chips not to be supplied, so people couldn't buy cars and washing machines. And then now all of a sudden, everybody understood what we do. The honest truth is, from AI, which pretty much everybody is interested in because of its economic impact, or quantum computing, it is all driven on a basis of semiconductors. So obviously, to a hammer, everything looks like a nail. To me, innovation starts with semiconductors, because if you don't have it, you can't compute. Now, if you want to know the impact of the innovation in semiconductors and technology in your lives, all you have to do is just look back 10 years ago. The idea of taking your iPhone out and making a FaceTime call was more of a dream than anything else. And today you do it so comfortably. And a few years from now, well, I'm very blessed because I live in San Francisco and we have self-driving taxis. And my son uses all the time, and it's very safe because there is no crazy driver in it. That's part of life, and it's becoming more and more part of life. And if you look at every country around the globe, I'm very fortunate because of my position and because of the name of our company. I'm involved with many of the policymakers around the globe, from Japan to Korea to Taiwan to US. Every country has an innovation policy because they realize what drives the economy is the innovation that is leading to usage of AI and quantum computing. And as a result, having a policy about innovation that is conducive to better lives for the population is cornerstone of everybody in the government thinking about it. imec, for those of you who don't know us, has been around for 41 years. We are a non-for-profit organization. Today, our numbers are a little bit larger than 5,500. In fact, we are now at 6,500 scientists from about 100 nationalities. What makes us unique is that we have over 4.5 billion euros of infrastructure, which is the state-of-the-art manufacturing for semiconductors. And these days, we use the semiconductors to also innovate in spaces such as health, agriculture, robotics. All of the above uses a basis of semiconductors. As a result, it's important for every country to make sure that the education system creates an innovative basis for people to be able to be educated and be able to drive innovation, because it's the foundation of all the economic advances.
Thank you so very much. It's really truly amazing. Turning attention to Paul Antoine, I saw EGA's logos everywhere. Thank you for being one of the co-sponsors of this amazing Dubai Futures Forum. So, it's the world's #1 premium aluminum producer in the world. Your company is constantly exploring and innovating to make high quality aluminum that's long lasting and that can be used from making cans, cars, planes, and even satellites. Could you please speak more on how digital is important to the R&D of this manufacturing giant? Thank you.
Yeah, for sure. EGA actually has decided and took decisive step more than 20 years ago to develop its own technology to produce aluminium. So the process of smelting aluminium has been developed by EGA itself, is being used in the two very large plants we have in the UAE, and is also sold to other aluminium producers that just license our product and use it to produce aluminium. So we have an history on research and development that started obviously 20 years ago with minimal digital support. I mean, what was available at the time. Nowadays, obviously, it's bigger, it's more capable, it can do a lot more to make that technology even more productive, even more competitive, even more sustainable, which is obviously one of our key challenge as an aluminium producer. We consume a lot of energy, a really lot of energy. And so we need to optimize that, we need to improve that and be competitive with that so that we can keep selling that technology. But to some extent, we want to go beyond that. Okay, so there is a classic play of we master our technology, we deploy it, we improve our performance, we sell that technology, and we keep going like that in a good circle. But actually, we want to go beyond that. Aluminium is not the only material on the planet that can do a lot of things. We believe aluminium can make modern life possible. That's the terminology we use internally. But to do that, it needs to compete. It needs to be competitive as a material across different usage, different industries. You've named a few. There could be more. We need to invent those usage of aluminium that can make actually modern life possible. And for that, digital AI is one of the play we want to have. It's one of the technology we want to leverage. And that's really R&D for us. It's not about operating a plant. It's not about producing the metal for our customers. It's actually inventing the metal that our customers can use for their applications, for their benefits, and for the benefits of the larger society. So that's basically how digital today is helping both the current process, the current operations, but also preparing the future for us as an industry and as a company, of course.
Thank you. Thank you so very much to our wonderful speakers. So, I'm going to probe deeper into life cycles of innovation, competition, and collaboration that drives research and development in your fields. So, let me just turn my attention because we are also running a bit short of time. So, going to Mr. Khalifa Al Qama, if you can share latest trends in DFF, what type of horizon scanning is being done for your latest R&D topic, and maybe you can also share with us what are those R&D topics that you're working on, and how they're bringing public and private sector together for the latest research agenda. Over to you, sir.
Later on, maybe I want to ask Max a question.
Yes, please.
I think technology doesn't progress on its own. Technology has to be pushed by humans. I think we all see fascinating intersections of when technologies come together, whether it is AI and material science or AI in the physical form, which is now called physical AI, is where we see technology behave like magic. And this is what I think we always yearn for and look for. Um, and such technologies are not really, cannot come top down from somebody on top, like a government or an institute saying this is what needs to happen, or bottoms up. I think there needs to be always a conversation between what is happening on the ground, what could be encouraged to happen on the ground, and an overview of what the horizon looks like and a potential bet. Let's be very clear. The majority of breakthrough innovation happens when governments back them. And once they do happen, then they proliferate within the system. I think it is important to, yes, have a vision, but have a very close eye on what is happening on the ground. And let me give you some examples. I think there has been a lot of progress in biotechnology. You've all most likely have had an injection of mRNA in the last 5 years, right? In COVID. Maybe you do know, or maybe you don't, but that was the first time we ever used biotech to actually benefit our bodies. Previously, it was cells, viruses, injection. This is an mRNA. We are programming our bodies to do certain things or asking the cells to do something specific. That was an unprecedented time. It yielded some results, and it now propelled us into a completely different reality that I think we're going to just start seeing the benefits of over the next 5 to 8 years, where we are not going to be taking chemicals in our body, but most probably giving our bodies instructions, whether it's in mRNA or proteins, or I'm sure you get in your social media feeds the peptides that everybody wants to use and are super excited about. This is basically us asking our bodies to do certain things, not influencing them with chemicals. It's a very different paradigm and a different reality. In this paradigm and reality, rules needs to change. The way you clinically trial on the ground needs to change. Talk about rare diseases, or talk about cancer, God forbid. Those will be tackled in a very different way because of biotechnology. That means, yes, there needs to be a top-down push, but a bottom-up really exercise to understand what needs to be strengthened on the ground.
Wonderful. No, thank you so much. I really loved what you said about breakthroughs happening when actually the governments also back up these innovative thinking and also research agenda. So now I'm going to turn to Max. In just layperson's terms, can you please give us an insight of what goes on in your 12,000 square meters of clean rooms? I saw some pictures. It was like a scene from the future and beautiful state-of-the-art labs taking nano and digital technology to the next level. And you already started explaining to us what that means to humanity. So if you can just, please explain that. And also, how does that, does your research as a nonprofit, but also collaborating with all these amazing companies, technological champions of the world, what type of benefits can it bring to the people of the world? Over to you, Mats.
First of all, we have a joint team between imec and MIT in Boston. And guess who the advisor of the team is? Dr. Bob Langer, who has started the mRNA. And you would not believe what a wonderful human being he is. He is our advisor for the team. I am probably the luckiest person in this entire forum because I get to see the ingenuity of every single one of you and what humans can do when they put their mind at it. What we do is hard science. Semiconductors, to give you a perspective, and we were talking about it, what we do in our facility, just give you a perspective. Today, this state-of-the-art manufacturing of a transistor, the size of the gate in the transistor is at 3 nanometers. That's why there is all this conversation, and I don't want to take this into politics, about China taking over Taiwan, because the only place on earth where you can make 3 nanometer transistor is right now in Taiwan and Seoul. Actually, it's in Suwon. But we are the ones who provided the base technology. And to give you a frame of reference, 1 nanometer is 1/3000th of your hair thickness. We are sub 1 nanometer in our facility. We are making transistors that they are below 1 nanometer. It's the only place on earth. And if you look at the material that we use, periodic table, we use pretty much every single element in there. It is amazing what human beings can do when they put their mind at it. And the ingenuity of human beings is just mind-boggling to me. There was, in the previous talk, a conversation about DNA sequencing and genomics. The common belief is genomics added to proteomics and biome will give you the full picture of your body. So there's 3 pillars. For those of you who didn't know, genomics is a perfect example of a technology, semiconductors, bioinformatics, and biology playing together, perfectly balanced. Sequencing is done with chips. A lot of people don't realize that. So foundation of a lot of things that is done with chips. Now, this is the subject here is innovation without borders. We are located in a country where we are very famous for diamonds, chocolate, and beer. There is no big company that consumes chips. We have had to work with talent from across the globe, and we have had to work with companies from across the globe. And today you see a lot of fight or conversation about onshoring of the manufacturing because people are scared that they will be cut off from semiconductors. In Washington, D.C., I was fortunate to be part of the conversation. It started with onshoring, then they realized it's very difficult. It became nearshoring, and then they realized it's very difficult. They made it friendshoring. I have to see what the next one is. But the innovation part of it really has no borders. The talent of individuals is what drives this innovation.
Thank you. Thank you so very much. It just reminded me of how I saw nano and digital technology being used for telehealth and portable health diagnostics equipments that they can travel to the farthest corners of the Pacific and be able to provide accurate diagnosis, especially for communicable diseases like tuberculosis and others. So I really understand how, all of this can save lives literally in the furthest corners of the world. So I would like to now turn my attention to Paul. Can you please share EGA's dual track approach and how it boosts innovation while securing value delivery? Over to you. So 3 minutes, maybe.
Sure. I think one borders, and we are talking innovation without borders. One borders that in the private sector we see quite often is called CFO, Chief Financial Officer. Okay, he's not in the room here, at least for EGA, but he's a nice guy. But he's putting some borders. Okay, and that's where our answer to that is what we call dual track. Okay, a dual track is one track to pay. We call that the tax man, to pay the company what is due, to provide benefits and value now, at least short term, so that we're authorized to take the other track, which is about more longer term research, looking at things that have not been done elsewhere, mobilizing the ecosystem, mobilizing people outside, creating this collaboration that's necessary to go beyond some of the borders of the practices that we have today. And I think this is for us has been very important to balance those two things out. And I was asked a question the other day internally whether we could do one without doing the other, etc. And I thought, I don't think we really have a choice, actually. I think as a private company, you need to keep improving. You need to bring innovation to the field, to your operations right now. But you need also to think of what's next, okay? And the what next can be quite close, okay? And that's why I think not investing into it as well is a major risk. And so our dual track approach enables us to cover those two sites.
Okay, thank you so much. So that was really important to highlight that the dual track. So the short-term benefits as well as keeping in mind the long-term research agenda. So my final question, and we have about 7 or 8 minutes remaining. So in the you heard the speeches in the morning. We were trying to imagine the world 100 years from now, where the moonshots of today are impacting the lives of people worldwide. So the final question, about 2 minutes, if you could just highlight the types of public sector and academic and private sector collaboration in your field that could likely benefit the most people on the planet and also bring about more peaceful and prosperous future. So turning my attention to Mr. Khalifa Al Qama, if you could please share that vision of the Dubai Futures Foundation research, that the long-term research agenda for humanity, and maybe explain that one moonshot that could likely impact the world 100 years from now. Thank
Short
you.
answer is I don't know.
Good one.
I think it is really important to put in mind that it's very difficult to stop human ingenuity. It is going to happen, right? This is the beauty here. I think it is more of some guardrails and some guidance, which really leads us to, in my mind, what is the most important discussion and topic is the ethics of technology. The intent behind technology is I think what we need to kind of re-emphasize and re-talk about and remind ourselves from time to time. Efforts are going to be spent. Energy, whether in the form of money or literal energy, is going to be expensed. I think it is very important to put some guardrails on where would we like to see the future go. I- it's not going to happen on its own. It needs to be guided for sure. I think if you look at what is written on this building, what was it? Imagine, design, and implement the future. Imagining is important, designing is important, and implementation is going to happen. I think within that border, the ethical implications of these implementations is something that I think we have to constantly have a conversation around. And I will ask Max a question by the end of this.
Thank you. Well, he's the last one to speak. Very quickly to Paul Antoine. So your continuous training on the newest technology has been recognized by World Economic Forum and various ministries, paving the way to the highest positive impact on humanity for the next 100 years. So can you explain what that means, especially with focus on the people and human capital development?
Yeah, and I think we hear a lot of AI is going to replace people and those fearful thoughts, actually. Whether it's going to be the case in certain jobs, maybe, probably. But in general, I don't think people will be replaced unless they want to be replaced or unless they allow to be replaced. So what we are looking at is more to augment people with AI. But for that, we need to learn how to deal with AI. We need to learn how to be better people in some ways with AI, more productive, more efficient, less errors, whatever else we want to be better at. Okay, and this combination for us is what will make sense. We've invested a significant amount of money and time and effort to upskill people in the plant. I mean, they are just like all of us here. We are still learning every day about something, and we are directing that learning towards the use of AI from the teams in EGA. So those are really important for us. That has been relatively important and quite key, actually, in EGA being recognized by the World Economic Forum as a digital lighthouse earlier this year. So this is really part of making AI normal. Okay, at the end of the day, we call that digital is the new norm in our language. We want AI to be part, AI, technology, digital, to be part of life, just like it is today. Just it's going to be maybe more, maybe different technology, maybe different digital tech, but it needs to be part of our life, our days. Okay, because we're not going to do digital or AI for who, okay, if it's not for the human being. So we're trying to translate that into action in each year already.
Thank you. Thank you so very much. And actually, I'm going to cede my last question to Max. Over to you, Mr. Khalifa. Because I really interested to see what you've got. So your last question, sir, and then I'm going to start wrapping up.
I've hyped
Thank
it
you.
up too much. So just a quick question. How many people before the session know imec?
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Okay.
That's impressive.
Okay. With everything amazing that you've said about imec, I still think you've undersold imec, right?
Agree.
So I have a question for you. Yes, everyone heard of TSMC and Samsung and Intel and Nvidia and all the great names of people who design and fabricate these chips that are definitely changing our lives. What few people know is imec is nearly the only place on earth that is making the majority of breakthroughs in semiconductors. So much so that the majority of the names I've just mentioned actually collaborate together within imec at some stage of time. That is an impressive feat, right? Everybody talks about nearshore, offshore, but nobody talks about research of semiconductors. And that's a privileged place for imec to be in. What would you say from an R&D point of view that has led to for imec to reach the stage that it reached to?
First of all, I am grateful for the compliments. Coming from you means the world to us, and I sincerely mean that. I'm very blessed because I'm in a place in my life where I don't need anything, and what I do sincerely for the love of the job. I am the preacher that takes imec's message across the globe. What our mission statement is, literally, and you can read it on our webpage, and we are very true. This is how we attract our talent, because we are not NVIDIA $5 trillion company that pays people with stock options. We try to solve society's grand challenges through technology with our partners. And what I have, and why I spend more time in an airplane coming and going here than I will be on the ground here in Dubai, even though I love Dubai, is because I have admiration for places like Dubai Future Foundation or imec, where they create that forum for the young talent to be creative, to solve society's challenges through technology. When you go today to take an MRI machine exam of your chest x-ray, that machine is substantially more powerful than you had 5 years ago. And it's all technology. So what you are doing in Dubai Future Foundation, what we are doing at imec, honestly, close to my heart. You have my hats off for what you create, the platform for these young people to be able to be creative and create a better future for my kids and many of the young people that they're walking around. That my hat's off.
Thank you so much. Big applause to all of our moderators. So thank you so very much. We are, I think, right on time. We still have a few more minutes. Okay. So let me then, so we have a couple more questions, maybe one or two questions. So first to you, sir. Anyone else who would like to ask a question? Looking around. Okay, and then to you. Yes.
Thank you very much for your amazing contributions. My name is Gustavo. I come from Brazil, and I come specifically from a state which has the largest amount of niobium in the world and 8% of all of the lithium of the world. And 10 years ago, about 10 years ago, we had one of the most tragic dam collapses in this state. A mining dam collapsed, killed our second largest river, which was named the Sweet River. And because of that disaster, many children were infected by mercury, and many communities, especially indigenous communities, had to be displaced and still have nowhere to go, were not compensated. Just last week, a British company which owned half of this dam was condemned in the UK for this disaster. So my question is, as we developed so many technologies and semiconductors which depend largely on those minerals, which futures are we thinking for communities as those that were impacted by this disaster?
Very, very, very important question. So maybe I'll take another question from you, please. Yes. Can you give the mic to the lady? Yep. In the middle. Yeah, over. Yep.
Thank you very much. My name is Anna Maria Augustin, and I'm working as an evaluator very often for the European Commission Horizon program. Maybe some of you heard about it. It's public largest R&I fund. And I have several observations working for 10 years already in evaluating proposals and projects that are implemented. And I see that very often the technologically oriented projects, they actually cannot progress because there is not enough focus on the intangible aspect like social interaction. So this kind of playing field, I was wondering, how is it in your experience in the area where you operate?
Thank you. Thank you very much. And maybe last question and then over to the speakers. Maybe I think there was a hand over there. Okay. Yes, please, over.
Thanks for the interesting session. My question is on the technology deployment. Now, as a company, what's your definition of the optimal technology mix deployment when it comes to decide on advancing certain technologies?
Thank you. So maybe over to you, Khalifa,
I
Max, and then
Yeah, whoever needs to or can or should or wants to answer. Um, Start with your question. I think it's broadly for societies to make sure that research, since that's the topic we're talking about, research does benefit society overall. Since in the beginning I've mentioned research has implication on society or the economy, and I made that distinction, and it's really important. As an example, we've been having a very good relationship and working research relationship with MIT Sensible Lab, where MIT Sensible Lab has been deployed in Brazil, in Amsterdam, in Dubai. And it was very important that every single center focuses on what is relevant to the context that they live in, right? In the context of Brazil, it was favelas. It was the basics of how would you create addresses for where people live, right? In Dubai, yeah. So in Dubai, we are in a problem that I think, let's not call it a problem. We are in a reality that I think would become other people's realities by 2050, which is a 50 Celsius centigrade, 50 Celsius environment, heat islands. And that's where Dubai has decided to focus its energy on because, yep, we know it's going to be useful to us now and it's going to be very useful to many cities over the next 20 to 30 years. I think it is to each jurisdiction to really pay attention and do what is right economically and do what is right for society overall. I'll come back to the horizon, maybe answer later on. Would you like to add anything here?
First of all, muito obrigado. I have to honestly say that as we are progressing in society, we are getting to be a lot more careful about our footprint in the environment. There is a conscious effort. For example, PFAS. I don't know how many of you have heard of PFAS. There is a conscious effort to replace PFAS. And there was a study done in European Union about how much PFAS do you have in your body. It's a non-breakable material that is man-made. as an industry, semiconductor industry, we are changing a lot of the materials we use. Obviously, because they're conflict material, they're coming from geopolitically sensitive places, but also because of the footprint on the environment that we are creating. So, as a society, we are becoming wiser. Are we there yet? No, we are not. There's always the challenge of the profits versus the good that you do. But I'm confident that everybody has woken up and is doing the right thing. As far as the Horizon program, I have to admire European Union and European Commission. We are the beneficiaries of CHIPS Act in Europe. We received 2.5 billion euros, and we are creating a new fab. I think by far, if I look at many of the countries that I participate in the conversations with the governments, I think the European Commission has my admiration and respect for how much they care. Is there a bit of an overregulation? I think we can agree, yes. But that's something that can be worked out. But fundamentally, Horizon projects were fantastic in stimulating innovation. Are they perfect? Nothing is perfect, but it's better than nothing. We don't have any of that in the US. So, with that, I think what they do in Dubai Future Foundation is a page out of that playbook.
Yeah, and maybe I'll pick the last question on that side. So the whole point is what is optimal, okay? And obviously this is a tough balance, okay? And for me, the way within the company we find what's optimal is also what's possible, okay? And sometimes we have a number of things that are must do, okay? There's no other choice. There's either regulation, there is an ethical consideration, like what you've mentioned. There are some stuff that are must do, so they are not to be discussed. But then we have a lot of things which are potential. Okay, we can go as far as we want or as little as we want. This is a decision, and for that, I think one of the key elements is how much is accepted by the teams, by the people. We are companies, and companies are not machines. Okay, they use machine, but they are people first. And on this basis, there are a number of things that are easy to accept, easy to adopt, and people naturally will take them. There are a number of things people would resist to, okay? And they will not resist because they don't think it doesn't work or because it touches something that's make them blocked, okay? And there is a certain speed at which we can get to get to an optimal for a certain place in a certain moment. Another example I could bring here is we are developing the aluminium smelting technology in the UAE at EGA. We have other competition doing that in China, for example, is they are developing their own technology. The basis is the same, the logic's the same, yet it's quite different. Okay, so we are taking a different qualification of optimum in the way we design the technology for different context, a different situation. So I think that's really interesting that it should be, I think, very local at the end of the day, the optimal.
Thank you. Thank you so very much for this amazing and insightful conversation this afternoon. Thank you, audience, for asking some very interesting and important questions. So I would like to close this session by acknowledging our distinguished speakers. Thank you so very much for taking the time and being with us here today. So whether it's in the world of competition, you highlighted that collaborative research and development across diverse sectors can bring the highest impact, as well as longer-term benefits and profits, loyal clients, of course, lifelong customers, but also life-saving technologies and breakthroughs. Whether it's through investing in the future-oriented regulatory sandboxes, as was highlighted, or through identifying some important collaborative opportunities across a variety of sectors, and also looking at these very wicked questions of moving away from the extractives and really looking at maybe investing R&D in replacing all these forever chemicals or these extractives into something lighter, something more environmentally friendly, but also, you know, really placing, I guess, that was the topic of this Futures Forum, placing humanity, placing human dignity at the center of the future debates. I really liked that's how the opening was, because I work for a human development organization. Everything that we do is about people around the world. How can we better their lives? Doesn't matter if they live in Paris, London, or Suva, Fiji, or Vanuatu. So thank you so very much for highlighting the importance of what we do in terms of benefiting bringing long-term positive impacts for humanity. So this was a very insightful conversation. I learned a lot. I hope you learned a lot, and I think we will have a lot of chances to ask tough questions or have a very engaged conversations with the distinguished speakers this afternoon.